Hello YouTubers, well, nice to see you again. I've been away for a while, but that's been because I've been forced to focus more on work and less on making videos. And will just be a very short video in which I show you a record that I got hold of quite recently. A very special record, a historically significant record, and it is called The Voice of Frank Sinatra, and it looks like this. So, what's so special about this? Apart from the fact that it is a 10-inch record, as you can see probably. It has the standard album design that the early many of the early Columbia records had. You may have seen this one before, this Victor Borge record. But what is so special with this record is that this is the first commercially available vinyl album with popular music on. It was released by Columbia in 1948. It has the record number CL6001, 6001. And when Columbia introduced the vinyl LP in 1948, they presented a 12-inch classical album. I can't remember which soloist, which orchestra, and which composer, but never mind. They presented this one, The Voice of Frank Sinatra. So it has the same kind of sleeve that many other records of the time had. Label looks like this. The dark red with, well, I think the very first pressings had gold printing. Some of them had silver printing. This is, though I have to say, this is maybe not from 1948, this actual issue, because it has some differences from the very first original. And we can use this Victor Borge album from 1948 to show the differences. This is from 1948. I know that. First of all, one difference is that the earliest ones often have this pink album design. You see, it's the same album design with this. I think it's a note stand with the metronome underneath and also some sheet music. And it's the same, but it's different colors. The first ones had their opening at the top, like this. And fairly thin paper, not thin paper, but thin, it's closer to paper than cardboard. You can see it like this. This has the opening here, and also, if you can see, quite a thick cardboard, stiff cardboard. The very first one looked more like this, apart from the fact that it said Victor Borge here, and it said Frank Sinatra. But never mind. 8 songs on this Frank Sinatra album. Orchestra under the direction of Axel Stordal. You Go to My Head. Someone to Watch Over Me. These Foolish Things. Why Shouldn't I? I Don't Know Why. Try a Little Tenderness. A Ghost of a Chance, and Paradise. Yeah. The funny thing, though, is that this, well, as I said, this is probably a reissue, maybe from 1949, maybe from the same year, 1948, not really sure, because this stayed in the catalogue for some time, and also it changed, there were variations of the album sleeve design as well. But even, let's say, if this was a copy with a pink sleeve and thin paper and opening up here, and it would be the very first vinyl album, it would still be a reissue, because the first vinyl albums were reissues. And how is that possible? Well, those of you who know a lot about records already know where I'm going. The fact that we call these albums has quite a good reason, because before the vinyl album there were 78 RPM albums, and that was like a binder with lots, or with more than one record collected and all together making up an album. So this the original version of The Voice of Frank Sinatra was a 78 RPM album with four 10-inch 78 RPM records, of course containing the 8 songs that make up this album. That album was released 2 years before the entry of the vinyl format. So 1946, I think some of the recordings on the album were made in 1945. So imagine, we talk about how we want to avoid the reissues and want the old originals. Well, consider the first original issue on vinyl was a reissue from a different format. Yeah, don't know really how significant or well how interesting or whatever this is, but I find it quite fascinating to hold a record that is this old, and even though the sleeve is a bit worn, it has, you see, a split here, and it has a bit yellow tint. The record plays fine, but of course the recordings on this Frank Sinatra album, which is of course the first Frank Sinatra album as well, is well, they are taken from 78 RPM recordings, so they were recorded directly with a big orchestra, the way they used to record the old 78 in the 1940s. No overdubs, no nothing. Everything is real. Of course, mono. And also, I find it a bit interesting. My cousin, who is now, well, perhaps she'll kill me if I'll say her age, but she's the same age as this vinyl album spins in. Yeah, the same rotations per minute. Yeah, I think that's an accurate description. And she has always been very interested in boy bands and so on. And recently she started listening to Frank Sinatra. I was really surprised when I found out about that last summer. But this is an album that with Frank Sinatra, where Frank Sinatra, I think, is, well, actually younger than my young dear cousin is today. So that shows that even these old dinosaurs, these living legends, well, he's not alive anymore, but these legends have been young ones and made album debuts. Actually, funny thing is, I saw this a bit too late. I would like to have one, but I saw that this album was actually reissued on vinyl the other year with the original album sleeve, the original pink album sleeve design, like this one, and it would have been fun to see if they had copied the quality of the paper and so on as well, but well, maybe it turns out. But now I have an old original of the first copy of the first LP with pop music. If it's from 1948, probably, but it could be from 49 as well, but never mind. It still has a very historically important record number, CL 6001. Thanks for watching.